Hi, it's Fionna Gossling from Royal LePage with a really quick update as to what happened in the Oakville real estate market in January 2023. So please keep in mind that January 2022 was kind of the start and almost the peak of the market. So January, February, and March 2022 were inexplicable in the market growth that we saw and the frenzied buying that we saw. And I think that was a perfect storm of interest rates, pent up demand, people being on the move. Our demand is still there. It obviously costs more now to borrow money with all of the interest rate hikes that the Bank of Canada has done, which has had downward pressure on prices. Let's have a look at what has actually been happening instead of just kind of headline news that is alarming. This screen is very boring and becomes more interesting near the end of the year when there's actually some data in there to compare it to. However, in January, we had 122 sales in all of Oakville. So that's across all property types. And there were 359 properties to choose from, which worked out to 1.9 months of inventory. 122 sales is quite low. However, it is not significantly lower or hugely out of whack from what we would normally see in a January in a healthy real estate market. So that in and of itself is not terribly alarming. 2.9 months of inventory is actually still a bit of a seller's market, creeping towards a balanced market. And our average sale price is down quite a lot. So this is where don't be alarmed by these numbers because, again, we're comparing it against the very height. But our number of sales were down 25%. Our number of inventory was up 209%. That is quite deceiving because active listings of 116 in January 2022 is very, very low. So that's not a normal market for us to see. 358 listings is actually still quite low. And where you see the difference is the months of inventory. So this time last year, there was 0.7 months of inventory. Basically, you listed it. You didn't have to do a ton to get it ready. Obviously, you wanted to show well and do all of the normal stuff. It is becoming increasingly important to have an agent who knows the market, knows what's happening in the market, can market and stage the property well and negotiate really well on your behalf. Average sale price is down about 24%. Remember, this is only applicable if you bought a house in January 2022 and you want to sell it in January, February 2023. Then the book value, so to speak, the market value of that property should be about, on average, 24% less. However, there are not that many people that situation applies to. Here's the breakdown of where those sales happened in the Oakville market. So there were 61 detached sales that happened, and the average sale price of a detached home was 1.788. That is down from the height in 2022. Townhouse average sale prices also dropped down to $972,000. You can have a look on my website at fionnagosling.com to see all of the historical data there. However, there's still only 1.9 months of inventory for townhouse sales last month. So if you're in the market for a townhouse, you're going to see that that is selling quite quickly. Or if you are selling a townhouse, you are going to have a much more pleasurable experience than if you were selling a condo. And you can see condos had 4.2 months of inventory, which is way down from what it was last month. So that's a good thing. If you're selling a condo right now, things are starting to look up. There are fewer active listings in the month of January. There were a few sales and the average sale price is up quite a bit. So that doesn't really make a ton of sense. And we'll see what happens in that condo market as we move on through the year. Here, I think these graphs, I've been kind of brushing over them recently, but I think they're important to look at. This is showing the average sale price in January of 2021, average in 2022, and average in 2023. And then the lines are the median sale price. So this is the median sale price in 2021, and this is the median sale price in 2022. This is the median sale price in 2023, but there's no line because it's January. So our median sale price is actually still up from January 2021, and the average is down slightly. However, our average sale price in January 2023 is kind of on par with where we were in January 2021. So I think when we're looking at the market on a whole, we're still doing quite well. It's pretty much just obliterated the market activity and frenzied growth we saw in 2022. And you can have a look through all of these. I've broken it down for detached freehold townhomes, condominium apartments, and condominium townhomes. And then, of course, I sound like a broken record, but I break it down by neighborhood. If you wanted to have a look at what the average and median sale price was in your neighborhood, perhaps more valuable if you wanted to have a discussion about what's happening in your neighborhood and try to figure out if it makes sense to sell or buy right now. If you know of somebody who's thinking about selling or buying and they would appreciate that kind of market analysis, don't hesitate to reach out and let me know. I'm happy to help. I will check back in next month, where the numbers will still be alarming for another 2 months, and then they will start to become reasonable again. Talk to you soon.